Forgotten legends tell of someone whose name has been lost for thousands of years. Beneath the roots of a fig tree, someone still remains. She has no temple, no priests, no epic written in her honor. And yet, humanity has been leaving its heaviest burdens with her since the beginning of time. This is the story of two immortals. One was destined to carry pain. The other was destined to help the world forget it. It all began with a mother's grief. When Persephone was taken into the underworld by Hades, the earth itself split apart. Demeter wandered the mountains in search of her daughter. She laid aside her crown, and as she walked, the world mourned with her. Fields withered, harvests failed. For the first time, humankind learned what hunger truly meant. One night, disguised as a weary traveler, Demeter knocked on the door of the Attic hero, Phytalus. He welcomed the stranger without asking who she was. His kindness touched the grieving goddess so deeply that before she left, she placed a handful of fig seeds from the immortal gardens into his hands. And she whispered, "One day, humanity will be nourished not only by its fruit, but by its spirit." The following morning, a fragile green shoot reached toward the sun. At that very moment, a fragment of Demeter's sorrow became something living. Thus, the Hamadryad of the fig tree was born. Her name was Syka. Syka rarely stayed beside the tree she was bound to. She wandered from city to city, becoming the silent witness of human lives. Whenever her figs were placed upon a family's table, Syka would sit there too, unseen. She leaned close to heavy hearts and whispered only one word: "Let go." No one ever heard her voice. Yet somehow, their burdens became lighter. Because pain never truly disappears. It only changes hands. A mother's grief, a frightened child's tears, a warrior's regret. Piece by piece, century after century, those forgotten sorrows found their way into a single soul. And while people's hearts grew lighter, Syka quietly carried everything they had left behind. While Syka watched over humanity, another destiny was unfolding atop Mount Olympus. The son of Zeus, and the mortal Cybele, Dionysus. His mother died before he could be born. To save him, Zeus sewed the unborn child into his own thigh, until the day he was born again. Twice born, two souls breathed into a single immortal body. But Hera's endless hatred followed him from childhood. He grew up wandering, from one city to another, from one mountain to the next, always hiding who he truly was. Perhaps that was why he understood something few gods ever could. He knew he could never erase human suffering, but perhaps he could teach people how to forget it, if only for a little while. He gave them wine. He blessed the vineyards. He filled the world with music. He made dance sacred, and he gifted humanity the theater. Where Dionysus walked, silence became song. Grief dissolved into laughter. People finally spoke the words they had buried for years. For the first time, they felt free. But every gift Dionysus offered had two faces. Wine could heal a weary heart, or, if restraint was lost, it could awaken the wildest part of the human soul. Because Dionysus was never only the god of joy, he was the god of revelry, of intoxication, of untamed nature, of chaos. Two spirits lived within him. One taught humanity how to live. The other whispered how easily everything could be lost. One morning, after the last echoes of a great festival had faded, their paths finally crossed. Deep within a quiet forest, Dionysus saw someone resting beneath an ancient fig tree. She wore no crown, no divine robes, only the scent of living earth. Syka looked into his eyes and saw the lonely child hidden beneath the storm. Out of habit, Dionysus offered her a cup of wine. She smiled, but never reached for it. Instead, she gently touched the ground beside her. "Sit. You don't have to say anything." For the first time, someone wasn't trying to make him forget his pain. She simply allowed him to exist beside it. That day, two immortals fell in love. Together, they wandered beneath the shade of fig trees. They watched the sunset over endless vineyards. They found forgotten valleys where no human had ever walked, and forests even the gods had abandoned. Dionysus showed her how wine was born. Syka taught him how the earth breathed with every season, how roots whispered to one another beneath the soil, and how hope often grew unnoticed where people least expected it. Little by little, they changed each other. Beside Syka, Dionysus became quiet. The thoughts even wine could never silence simply faded in her presence. The two souls inside him stopped fighting. For the first time, they shared the same heart. And Syka no longer carried humanity's pain alone. She shared every smile, every peaceful moment, with him. For the first time, she learned how to live for herself. Dionysus' festivals grew shorter. His heart always longed for the same forest. Hera watched. She waited. And eventually, she understood. Her anger wasn't directed at Syka. She was furious because Dionysus had finally found happiness. She didn't need to kill him. The surest way to destroy a god was to make him destroy himself. Because Hera knew a secret. Dionysus' madness had never been a curse placed upon him. It had always lived inside him. Sleeping, hidden, only Syka's peace had kept it silent. Hera needed only one thing, to wake it. One night, the moon hung above the forest like a crimson veil. The wind changed. Even the roots heard nothing. Then, far away, came the sound of drums. One beat, then another, like the heartbeat of something ancient. The Maenads emerged, carrying blazing torches. Wine soaked into the earth. The drums grew louder. Dionysus's feet moved on their own. He raised his eyes, and Syka saw something she had never seen before. The man she loved was gone. Only the god remained. Syka ran to him and grabbed his trembling hand. "Look at me." For a single heartbeat, his eyes almost returned. Then the drums thundered again. The storm reclaimed him. Her fingers slipped from his hand, not because she feared losing him, but because she watched him disappear inside himself. Dionysus walked toward the sacred fig tree. Syka stepped in front of him one last time. "Please, it's me." But her voice could no longer reach him. The storm that had slept inside him since birth, the wild force that Syka's presence had kept at peace, was still there. And that night, the forest witnessed far more than a celebration. It witnessed the birth of a tragedy. When the drums finally fell silent, the forest was no longer the same. The frenzy had stripped away leaves, shattered branches, left the woods wounded. And the ancient fig tree, the very tree that held Syka's soul, had been struck beyond healing. That tree had always carried humanity's pain back into the earth. Now, its roots were broken. Every burden, every sorrow, every forgotten wound came rushing back into a single soul. Syka collapsed. For the first time, a Hamadryad truly felt the weight of humanity's suffering. And for the first time, she could not bear it. Dionysus's eyes cleared. He rushed toward her and held her in his arms. But her body had become as heavy as the earth itself. For the first time, the god of wine wept. And for the first time, he did not try to escape his pain. "Forgive me," Syka smiled, though it cost her every breath. "You have nothing to be forgiven for. You simply lost the battle against the storm you've been running from since the day you were born." Then, she revealed the secret she had hidden all these years. The truth about her tree. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because if you knew, you would have left to save me." One immortal had taught humanity how to forget. The other had carried everything humanity chose to forget. Syka placed both hands upon the earth and whispered, "I am not dying, but this body can no longer carry the weight of human sorrow. Let my roots bear it instead. Let every fig speak where my voice can no longer reach." The wind stopped. The forest fell silent. Syka did not die that day. She simply stopped living inside a single body. Her spirit spread through every fig tree on earth, and the burden once carried by one soul was shared by countless roots. Dionysus wandered for years. Even wine could no longer numb his grief. At last, his path led him to Phrygia, to Cybele, the great mother. He knelt before her. "Why can't I see her?" Cybele led him to an ancient fig tree. "Because you still believe you've lost her. Then where else should I look? Not with your eyes, with your heart." Dionysus placed his hand upon the bark. For the first time, he wasn't trying to bring her back. He simply stood there, feeling. A gentle breeze passed through the branches. A ripe fig fell into his hands, untouched, and only he heard the whisper carried by the leaves, "I'm still here." From that day forward, Dionysus never again ran from his sorrow, because she was no longer gone. She lived within every root, every leaf, every ripe fig. From that day on, no feast of Dionysus was ever complete without a single untouched fig resting at the center of the table. People believed it was merely a symbol of abundance, but in truth, it was the silent promise of a god to the woman he loved, who would live forever among the trees. And legends say, if you've ever stood beneath the shade of a fig tree and felt an unexplainable sense of peace, it isn't only because of its fruit. It's because beneath those roots, a forgotten nymph is still carrying the sorrow of us all.